doing? How's traffic out there?
Traffic's good.
Oh, traffic's fine. No traffic. Okay, good.
That clock right there is wrong. I will point out.
That clock is wrong? That clock, they
says
drop
8:34.
bombs. They drop bombs by that clock.
You just said 8:37.
No, I'm wrong. The clock's right.
Oh, okay.
I'm always wrong on the. I never get the time right, but the clock on the wall is always right.
All right.
Look at you trying to deflect blame. Good morning, David Stokes.
Good morning, McGraw.
All right, so last week you come in here all angry that the city's going to raise the minimum wage to $15 and all these businesses are going to leave in droves. This week, now you want to praise the city?
Sure.
What's going on here?
Well, they
down is
deserve
up,
it.
up is down. What's going on?
Well, a couple aldermen, I believe it's Alderman Cruzen and Alderman Ogilvie,
Yes.
have introduced on Friday a bill to dramatically simplify and shorten the city's confusing business license code. And they deserve a lot of credit for that. And I hope that the entire Board of Aldermen and the mayor agree that that would be good policy and good simplification.
All right, so what do you mean by business codes? What do you mean by that?
Well, this is the type of various licensing requirements that businesses have to get to open. I mean, in just about every city in the state, if you want to open a business, you need to get a business license and pay a fee or however it is.
Okay.
Now, in the city, it should be such that the type of business doesn't matter. If you're going to open a business, you pay $100 a year annual fee, whatever it is, and,
Right.
and you go on from there. But in the city, as it is in Kansas City and St. Louis County to a lesser extent, you know, the type of what you have to do to get that business license varies by the type of business. So you have, if you want to open a bed and breakfast or a pool hall or an arcade or plenty of other examples,
Right.
you have to go around and get signatures from neighbors that will allow you to operate as a bed and breakfast or a pool hall.
Right.
Oftentimes these rules are very archaic from a time when tattoo parlors and pool halls maybe had a more vice-oriented
Right.
feel than they do now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good time to just change that and make the rules for those types of businesses the same as for every other.
Sounds like there are just a lot of rules there so that if anybody along the way doesn't like your particular business, they can pull out one of these arcane rules and says, I'm sorry, we can't give you a business license.
Well, if you're in that type of business that's covered, and I just gave a couple examples, so
Right.
there's plenty more.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, selective enforcement of complicated rules is a real problem, and that could be whether the bureaucrats choose to selectively enforce it or whether they just don't know. I mean, if you might not know that there are special rules for your type of business. You might think you're just covered by the general rules for all businesses and you adhere to those.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you missed the part about you missed the asterisk for your type of business.
Right. And now the story is an interesting story. This all came from a conversation between Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, and Mayor Slay 2 years ago.
That's as I understand it, in the Post-Dispatch story on it from last week. That there was a conversation about ways to make the city more business friendly, and this is a terrific way to do it. Simplifying business licensing to make it easier for entrepreneurs to open one doesn't mean they don't have to pay a business license fee.
Right.
They're going to pay that, although in some cases they're reducing the fee as part of this change, which is great. Just simplifying the code so that businesses are treated more consistently, so that everybody sort of faces the same pricing system,
Right.
the same license fee, the same rules, and also sort of an overall change from trying to, as the Post-Dispatch article says, and as we write about at showmedaily.org, where we've got a post on it, moving from sort of preemptively trying to regulate businesses where they can and can't go. And this is all over and above zoning. I mean, zoning doesn't change at all here. Beyond zoning, preemptively regulate to sort of moving towards an idea that if it fits with the zoning, you can open the business, and if there's a nuisance problem with it, you can enforce that after the fact. And I think that's a good change, instead of just assuming that every pool hall, bed and breakfast, or many other types is going to cause problems.
I would be more excited than you if it didn't take them 2 years to get to this point. If Jack Dorsey, who started his company in San Francisco, is from St. Louis, says, hey, you know what, some of these rules you have really do hurt these small businesses. You might want to think about changing it. And they all agree. And 2 years later, they get around to introducing a bill. I'd be a little more suspect.
Well, I don't know if they all agree. I mean, I hope they all agree. I hope there's not a big fight at the Board of Aldermen
Right.
about this. In Kansas City, several years ago, they attempted a very similar thing. Kansas City's business license code is just as archaic as the city of St. Louis is.
Right.
And they launched an effort backed by the chamber and others to simplify it, and they have not done so yet. I mean, they've not succeeded. So hopefully, I can live with 2 years is fine. It's the important thing is that you get
So what you're saying is
done.
What you're saying is this was introduced. This hasn't passed. There's a whole other nightmare to get these things passed.
Well, that remains to be seen when the
Right.
Board of Aldermen debates it in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of good examples of the type of sort of strange business licenses that different types of businesses have to deal with, including one for intelligence offices, which nobody even knows what that is.
What do you mean an intelligence
Well,
office?
it's an old term for a temp shop or a headhunting agency.
Okay.
They called it intelligence office when they wrote the law, 60, 70 years ago.
Right.
So, but it's a good example, as Joe Miller, who wrote the Post, says, if people reading the law don't even have any idea what your term means, then maybe it's time to update it. And I commend the aldermen who've introduced the legislation to do so.
So there were rules against opening up an intelligence shop or a bar, or as you say, a tattoo parlor or a billiard place or whatever else. All these other different ideas.
Oh.
But that's one thing, and then you get to the zoning, right? So once you pass whatever you pass, and you have to do whatever it is you want to do to open up Office X, then you have to go to the zoning board, and if the zoning board okays your ice cream parlor, your intelligence shop, your printing shop, your whatever, then you can think about opening up your business.
Right, then you can. Now, I think a lot of these rules might have predated zoning, and that's why you have this duplication effort. But,
Okay.
of course, once zoning is established to do the things that many of these rules did before then, you would think you just get rid of the old rules. But no, I mean, God forbid you have a temp agency or a recruiting company within 500 feet of a residence. I mean, that's the type of, for some reason, old thinking that somebody who lived 499 feet away from a temp agency that's probably on a commercial street,
Right.
that somehow they'd have an ability to block the opening of that business. You see that a lot with bars and taverns, and it may be more understandable there. But the fact that you still have these rules for many other type of businesses is crazy, and I'm glad to see that at least some people of the city are trying to address it and get rid of it.
I did think it was interesting that they want to reduce the fee to open up a business. You want to open up a business, and you want to tax that business, and then you're going to charge them a fee to tax them? I mean, that seems a little unfair.
That's a big part of it, is that for small new businesses, they're dramatically reducing the business license fee. And
Right.
I think that's great because, as soon as you start the business, you're paying property taxes, sales taxes, you're paying
Right.
all sorts of earnings taxes and payroll taxes.
And you're also paying $15 an hour if you're opening up in the city per employee.
Right. So let's say all of these improvements will be moot if the city moves ahead with the $15 an hour minimum wage, because it's like these things aren't going to even out. But hopefully they'll do this and not do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is David C. Stokes. The C makes him sound more official. He is the Show Me Institute Director of Development. And when can we read you and when can we see you?
We have a lot of information up about business license issues at showmedaily.org and showmeinstitute.org, and people can follow me on Twitter at David C. Stokes.
Anything else we need to know? Go ahead.
We have a next-gen sort of young professionals fundraiser barbecue this Thursday from 5:30 to 7 at our offices at 5297 Washington Place. If you'd like to come, please get online, go to our events page, and register there. Anybody interested in the work of the Show Me Institute, young professionals, next-gen, as our consultants call it, you're welcome to come.
Consultants. I got to talk to you about those consultants, but that's another issue. David C. Stokes, have a good week, David.
Thanks, McGraw.
8:43, traffic, weather, straight ahead, KTRS.